So with us today is María José Ovalle. She is a Chilean mother of three living in Washington, D.C. area. She's the creator of the blog Very Busy Mama, and she is now a social media influencer. Her YouTube channel, La Chilena Gringa, has garnered tens of thousands of followers who enjoy her humorous short videos about glimpses into her life as a very busy mama. So with us today, María José, to talk about her background and being a very busy mama. Welcome, María José. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm good. I just came from the playground,
okay.
So from the playground to this, so that's definitely busy mama.
And I know you told me you apologized ahead of time. You were trying to put your 2-year-old down, and she's having a little issues, and you're trying to do your thing as well.
Right.
And that's being a busy mama, right?
That's right.
First of all, congratulations being nominated for the Tecla Award at this year's Hispanicize. For those of you who don't know, the Tecla Award honors excellence in U.S. Latino online videos, blogging, media marketing, and those who create it. So how did that make you feel, getting an award and doing all of this?
It was absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, I obviously knew people had nominated me, but I only started this new venture with the videos a year ago. And the people that made the finals, like the four of us, have been around for a long time, and they have, millions of followers. And so the fact that obviously it's based on content, but still it was a huge, this is what you need to do moment, because the fact that I made it as a finalist, and absolutely, I was just mind blown. So extremely happy. It's nice to be validated.
Validation. Yeah, validated what you're doing. It made you feel very good for sure. And you're definitely on the right track about the videos and what you're doing and the content that you're providing. One of your videos went viral, I understand, with your son. Tell us a little bit about it, and then maybe you can let us watch a little bit of it.
Sure. So just a quick background. I've been in the blogosphere for about 10 years. So I know how all this works, and I know that content is king, but it's luck. When something goes viral, it's luck. And I actually had no idea and zero expectations when I did those videos, like a lot of people say, but it's the truth. And much less the one with my son. One night I couldn't sleep because I kept getting like bings on my phone, like bing, bing, bing.
Right.
And I was like, that's strange.
What the heck's going on here, right?
And it was literally like comments coming into that video, but I couldn't find the source of the binging. I was like, it's not Facebook. It's because I never had any success or any engagement on YouTube ever in my 10 years.
Right. Do you know how it got started, the viral? People just liked it and started sharing it with their friends, or you have no idea how it all just began?
I think it's like those people say, they saw, like, the title was like, a gringo child speaks Chilean Spanish.
Okay.
And those keywords like gringo, Chilean Spanish are very, very unique. So if you're searching for something related to Chile or Chilenos, that's going to pop up. And I think the fact that it was like this little blonde-haired, blue-eyed American kid talking with his mom, talking about specifically not Spanish words, but Chilean words. I think that's what gave it the extra oomph, because it literally went viral more in Chile than it did here among Chilenos.
Is there a difference between Spanish and Chilean Spanish?
There's a difference between Spanish and every single Spanish.
Really?
So it's like American English, Irish English, British English,
right?
Australian English, all of that,
right.
All of that, except times 16, 18, 20, how many countries do we have in Latin America and Spain? We were talking about Chilean words that my American gringo son finds funny.
Okay.
And so that was sort of something probably they had never seen before, especially with a child.
If we watch this video that went viral, let's watch a little bit of it, and then you can tell us a little bit about it.
Santa Rita, Santa Rita, Rita, Santa Rita, Rita, rápido ruedan las ruedas. Rápido ruedan las ruedas. Ay,
that's very cute. How old was he?
He's 9.
He's 9.
Was about, and so basically the whole premise is that I'm saying, like, I'm Chilean, I was raised in the U.S., and I want my children to at least know and understand Spanish. And so, the R is a hard thing for any non-native speaker. And my son gets my humor. He's a good sport.
How did you teach him the R's? Because I can't even do it. You have to roll the R. You go like that, right?
It's hard.
The R's very hard.
And there's a lot of tongue twisters that we would do as children in school to help you.
Like
that.
what? Give me one.
Like like I was saying to him, it was like rápido ruedan las ruedas el ferrocarril. And it's just saying like, loose translation is just saying that the wheels of the train are rolling fast, but like they all have cars in them, so it makes sense.
Rapido. So am I doing it right?
Rapido. Yeah,
I can't do it.
Rápido ruedan las ruedas.
Right. If I went,
it's hard.
I
grew up here and I had to overcome that because I could not master that R growing up because I grew up here, and it was the one thing I felt like I was like I need to nail this, and Now
I'm a gringo, right? And you are a gringa. Is it unusual to be a gringo and gringa from Chile?
You mean white?
Yeah.
No.
So and your blog is called La Chilena Gringa, right?
Yeah, that's just YouTube and Facebook. Okay. So it's just video.
All right. So why the name? It's not an unusual thing for you to be. Why'd you come up with that name?
It's not about me necessarily being white. It's just that I grew up here, and so appearances matter, and we know that it really does come. No one thinks I'm Chilean or Latina because they have a certain idea of what a stereotypical person from Latin America might look like, which is incorrect. But then in Chile, when I'd go visit, everyone's like, "Oh, La Gringa's here," just because I lived in the U.S., not because
of the color of your skin.
Yeah, it's just I look like everybody else, but or people, even my friends would introduce me, be like, "Oh, this is my cousin María José. She's Chilena, but she's gringa. She lives in the United States." And so it was always like, "Hey, la Chilena Gringa." And so that's it's almost a joke on myself because it caused like such identity disruption growing up.
When you go to South America now, or even Central America, is when somebody refers to you as a gringa or a gringo, are they saying that you're a white person, or they're saying you're an American now?
Well, that's the thing. This is actually a very good question, and I brought this up, and I'm like, because people leave me really mean comments and like, stop saying you're gringa, you are so Chilena, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, exactly. Is it the skin? Is it because you're from the States? And so it's kind of a mix of both, because when we would go, they're like, ay, tan gringo. Like my family would be like, oh, you guys are so used to certain things that you're so gringo. Like that's a gringo custom. So I think it's also a matter of an appearance and that you live in the United States. We were talking about this actually Hispanicized with another Latina who she's from El Salvador. She's like, I know I'm Latina, I have that color. But she's like, when she goes to El Salvador, her cousins be like, ay, la gringa. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm not gringa. I don't look gringa. But it was because she lived in the U.S. And she had an accent when she spoke Spanish. Yeah.
So a black American, if they went down, somebody who was born in America, a black American went to Chile, would they be a gringo or they would not be a gringo?
They would be a gringo, but they'd probably refer to him as like a negro or like a gringo negro. It's not like a black and white issue in the sense like it's not clear. I still don't know.
It's very confusing to me because I was in Colombia last year. I went to Cartagena and I visited some friends and they go, hey, the gringo's here. And I thought they were just calling me the white guy. And then I said, wait a second, you're white also. What are you talking about? And they're like, no, it's also American.
No, you're from the United States.
Right.
I mean, it is the term originally started, to distinguish the
people are
the American.
native of South America, Central America versus somebody born in the United States, I guess.
Yeah, and also they say it to like if you're British too, like a gringo.
British would be a gringo too.
Yeah, because they're European. So yeah, it's hard to interpretation.
Yeah, it's hard to put your finger on that one, huh? But you know a gringo when you see one, right?
That's right, but sometimes looks can be deceiving.
That's right. And people think you're a gringa, but you're actually Chilean.
In Chile, we were normal middle-class family. My mother worked as a French teacher. She had graduated from college. And my father, he worked as a civilian in the Navy. Just tough economic times. My father had two brothers here that were a lot younger than him. They're like, hey, come over here. We've got like a job for you with the Chilean embassy. So it wasn't like, oh my God, we have to leave this country. It was, my dad was like, yeah, all right. And then my mom always joked, she's like, and your dad always liked gringo stuff, so he was going to go real fast. We were very fortunate because when we arrived with like visas. We arrived into a fully furnished apartment. We had a car. My father had a job.
So you didn't need, there was no struggle.
Anybody starting over, there's a struggle, like not knowing the language.
You didn't speak any English when you came?
No, I mean, I was a child. I think for kids, it doesn't affect you as much. I was 4 going on 5, and my brother was 18 months. But my mother, not a word of English. And she's like, I had a whole career and nothing now. And my father had a job with the Chilean embassy and the naval mission. So he was in a mini Chile in DC. Like he almost felt like at home.
So how long did you stay in the United States? I know you stayed for a little bit and then went back to Chile, right?
Yeah, so it was about 5 years. So about 88 we went back.
When you went back to Chile, was there some sort of culture shock growing up in the United States, coming here as a 4-year-old?
It was a mix of both. My mother, we only spoke Spanish because that's all they knew. And she taught me how to read and write. She saw early on that I had like an ability to sort of go back and forth between two languages. She always talked about her family, and I remembered, my grandmother, my grandparents, because I was a little bit older. I had memories. We had a very strong presence about their lives in Chile in our home in the States. So my mother constantly talked about that. So literally when we went back, I was like, oh, there's Mama, my grandma. Like, I knew them, but I hadn't seen them. And I actually felt extremely comfortable being around them because I'd been hearing about them for so long. But the life itself was completely different.
What was life like in Chile compared to life in the United States as a kid? You saw both sides.
Just little things like here, everything's like prim and proper, especially where we lived in the DC area, nicely cut grass. Things were there I felt like were real, I saw garbage on the streets, which I know sounds like it wasn't even a lot, but here they're like, pick up your litter. People give you the mean eye if you like drop a piece of paper. We walked everywhere. We lived in a city. Here we were in the suburbs. And the biggest shock of all is that we lived in an apartment on the 5th floor with no elevator in Chile. And I was like, what?
Wow. So now you moved back, but I understand from reading in the notes that you would go back to Chile in the summers here in the United States, but it was actually the winter in Chile when you would go back. So how was that? Like, finally, I just lived through this horrible winter here on the Northeast, and now I got to go back to more horrible winter in Chile.
Basically. Now looking back, I am beyond thankful. I would not even be sitting here with you talking about this. I would just be like, yeah, I'm Chilean. I moved here when I was young, and that's it. Obviously, we are so far south, and I understand if people don't think about it. People will be like, didn't you go to your country or something? And I'm like, yeah, it's like all the way at the ends of the earth. We actually, we have 4 seasons and a proper winter. So
it's like being in Canada, but in the South Pole, because it gets colder as it gets colder as you get closer to the poles and further away from the equator. Now, we have a video of you. Okay, let's watch and then you can tell us what it is.
Venga, que con tu papá te tenemos una sorpresa. Oh my God, is it a car? I really want a car, mami. Oh my God, claro que no es un auto, cabra tonta. ¿Cómo se te ocurre que te van a comprar un auto? Segura y tan buena estudiante que eres tú. Este verano vas a ir a Chile. That's a surprise, going to Chile for like the whole summer.
So what did we just watch?
Basically, it's kind of like a culmination of many other Chileans I know. And, because we are, unlike other Latin American countries, we are so far away. And so I always tell my other Latina friends, I'm like, you're lucky. You can get on a plane and be at home in 5 hours. I got to do this whole, 24-hour trek. And a lot of families like mine, we would be like, they're like, yeah, you're going to Chile. And that was the summer that I was going to Chile by myself. My parents sent me for like the whole winter, like 2.5 months. And I was like, what? And it's just, I knew it was winter there, but I kind of made the culmination, like when the Chilean parents are like, out of Chile, they're like, we want to send you to Chile to get to know your country, our country. You're gonna have a great time. And then you're 15, you want to go to the beach with your friends, and then you realize, wait, it's winter there. And then you realize the awesomeness of it being seeing your family. I had my first drink in Chile because there wasn't a strict then. Smoking my first cigarette, all these things, and you felt like you started liking it despite, you missed your summer though.
So you're obviously Caucasian. It's not a shock to anybody who's watching here. And and so now you consider yourself Hispanic? Do you consider yourself white? Do you consider yourself Chilean? Do you consider yourself a Latina, Hispanic? When somebody says describe yourself, how do you describe yourself and tell us why?
That's a good question, and it's something I have actually never really known how to answer, ever. Because, like you said, racially I'm white. My mother is first-generation Chilean of German immigrants, like many people in the United States, except she was born in Chile.
Right.
My grandparents are German. And on my father's side, he's born in Chile, but back along to generational lines, Spanish mixed with German. So racially, yeah, I'm white. And growing up, the term Latino was extreme. And this I lived in the DC area. There were not a lot of like middle class Latinos educated. They were either extremely poor, and then they were also like the gangs. And so I was like, of course I'm not Latina. Like it didn't even enter my mind that I was Latina. I was like, I'm Chilean. And so I actually didn't ever use the term Latina, ever. I mean, I refused. And my father to this day is like, I'm not Latino, I'm Chileno. And my mother's like, I don't know what I am. I don't know. She's just like, and so when it comes time, she's like, yo no sé. When it comes time to check the box, you know, I kind of, in the past few years, I've kind of gotten like, I will put like white Hispanic or white Latina or like, because they give you options and then they have others. So I will just, or if you can put like white and Hispanic.
Do you think the color of your skin makes you say, well, I'm not really a Latina or I'm not really Hispanic, or that has nothing to do with it? Or is it just your experience of living more in the United States than Chile? Or is it just more that you're Chilean and Chileans feel they're Chilean and not Hispanic?
So I do feel Latina now. I just had to come to realization with what that term meant. Because growing up, it was a negative thing. It was like literally the gangs. And I mean, I was like, of course we're not gonna.
It's funny. I don't look at it as a negative. I maybe when I was younger, maybe I don't recall. But as a middle-aged man here in 2018, I don't look at it as a negative term.
Well, exactly. And now I don't.
Right.
Now I see it as someone who I'm part of the bigger picture. I'm part of, other Latin Americans, and we share a language and customs to certain degrees. We're not all exactly the same, but I do consider myself a Latina woman. But I didn't for a long time. And then my father still doesn't. He's like, why do you say that? And I'm like, Bobby, he for him, it's not a good thing. I think it's more other people's problems that they don't accept it. I will always tell people, I'm like, I'm Chilean. I'll never say I'm Latina first. I'm just like, I'm Chilean. They're like, oh, you're Latina. I'm like, yeah. And I think me being white hinders their ability to comprehend that I could be Latina. Well, and they're like, oh, but you're like half white. I'm like, no, I was like born in Chile. And then my joke is like, well, there are white people in Latin America, and move on.
There's white people in Jamaica, and they consider themselves Jamaican. I've seen them. I've met them.
I mean, there's also, just like in Africa, there are obviously white Africans.
That's right.
It is a tricky topic, and I think it's more other people's issues because I'm fine with who I am now, but,
So you wrote actually about this a little bit. You wrote in Pop Sugar magazine, you described an experience in a grocery store which really summed it up, your life as a Chilena Gringa in America. Can you explain to us what you wrote in that article and what happened in this grocery store?
I was with my kids, and my kids are whiter than me, blonde hair, blue eyes, but I speak to them in Spanish, and we were talking in Spanish, and I could see like someone like just staring at us and just kind of following us, very extremely interested, and could not stop staring at us. And finally he's like, oh, excuse me, he's like, I heard you speaking. He's like, what is that? That sounds so beautiful. And I was like, oh, it's Spanish. He's like, for real? He's like, I took Spanish in high school. That doesn't sound like Spanish. I'm like, oh, well, it is. He's like, oh, that's good. He's like, so are you like a Spanish major? I'm like, oh, no, I'm Chilean. And then he was just mind blown. He could not get.
Was he mind blown because he never really stopped to hear how beautiful Spanish can be, or he had a predisposition to what Spanish is because it's coming from somebody maybe with browner skin or even black skin?
Yeah, exactly. Because he's like, oh, well, he's like, you don't look, and then his next thing he's like, you don't look Latina, and I'm like, yeah. I was like, yeah, it's like white people, they're white Latinos too, and he was a good sport about it, but he was just like, whoa, he's like, you learn something new every day, and he walked away. So
now, that's shows a lot of bias on obviously on people, and your children are growing up in I guess you would call it a mixed cultural household, and your husband's an American citizen. So
he's white from Wisconsin.
So having an American father, a Chilean mother, what kind of lessons are the kids learning? Are they learning about the Chilean background? Maybe your older son, does he consider himself a Chilean American? Does he call himself an American? What does he call himself?
It's so funny because a few weeks ago at his soccer, he was talking to the coach, but I don't know what they were saying. And suddenly he comes running down the field and he's like, to my husband, I wasn't there, goes, Papi, am I American? And I was like, oh. And Brian was like, yeah. And then he went to the coach. He's like, yeah, he's American, but he's half Chilean. And the coach was like, oh. He always says he's from Chile. He's funny. He's like, I'm from Chile and Wisconsin. So he says we're a Chilean-Wisconsin family.
Okay, all right.
Like, the American part doesn't even play into it yet. It's really funny because he's like, no, we're Chilean, Wisconsin.
So what is it because of you? Does he recognize it himself, or is there certain things you do at the house, or with obviously with Spanish, obviously, other things as well that you do to encourage, that he knows the culture he comes from? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, well, like I said, we do the one parent, one language technique, which is my husband will always speak English to them, and I always speak Spanish to them. They know I speak English because they can hear me, but to them, my relationship with them is in Spanish.
So you can't go to your kids in Spanish. Oh, don't listen to Daddy; he's crazy, and he won't know what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean,
you can't get away with that.
Yeah, we can't have like deep conversations about life, but he will understand that. Like he gets it.
Right.
And also my parents live here and they speak in Spanish to my children. Right. And we talk about Chile all the time, and we're hoping, and we're going in July. So they do feel like it's part of them, and it's and my grandparents are still alive, and my son remembers a little bit because he went when he was 4. So I feel like they're really proud of it. And my son is also in a bilingual school. And so he gets to, have classes in Spanish, which is a really big deal for me. Yeah.
Going to Chile is on my bucket list. I heard Patagonia is absolutely gorgeous. So one
day.
Yeah,
we're not going there. We're not having that much fun.
Yeah. One day I want to get there. So before I let you go, and I really appreciate everything you've talked about here. You were born in Chile. You came here as a kid. You came home. You came back. You're now in this mixed cultural household. You're speaking Spanish to your kids. Your husband's speaking English to the kids. You're blogging about being a very busy mama, plus not only a very busy mama, which we can see, also a very busy mama who's teaching their kids their cultural background and heritage. Have you reached your American dream? And if you haven't, tell us what it is.
I'm living my American dream. The fact that I have a family and that I can share this other world with them, I believe is part of the American dream. And I think historically with the American dream, we know that a lot of immigrants would come and would try to Americanize as much as possible to fit in which I understand my grandfather did the same thing coming from Germany. He tried to become Chilean as much as possible, even changed his name. But I think the beauty now of the American dream is that we can all live here despite everything that's happening and keep what makes us stand out or original, or without having to give up a part of you that is special to me, and that is being in Chile and knowing Spanish. And I think that is my American dream, and having a family and raising good children, and healthy kids, and that will have a good life and get a good education. And we see so many things around the world right now where children, they can't even go to school.
That's right.
Or
living in wars, or have no hope for any future.
In wars, and exactly, there is hope for the future.
Congratulations again on your nomination in the Tekla Award. Can you let all the Brad Show viewers know where, if they want to watch some of your videos, where they can find you on the internet?
Sure. So on the easiest place is on Facebook, and it's La Chilena Gringa. Just type that in, and it's Chile with an NA and then Gringa. It's at the bottom of the screen. Same thing on Instagram and YouTube. That's really the easiest. And I'm kind of everywhere. So I usually have the glasses on, so I'm very easy to find.
All right. Well, thank you again, and congratulations, María José Ovalle. Ovalle.
And you know what? I could have changed my last name. I actually did not change my last name, which is Church. And people are like, why didn't you do that? It'd just be easier. You'd be like Maria Church. And I was like, exactly. Because no one calls me María José, because, that's the full name.
Right.
It's like Mary Jo in Spanish.
Right.
They would always call me Maria. And then Church, it's like Maria Church is just someone I don't even know. And also because I'm white, no one technically would think I'm not from here. So I felt like a part of me was dying.
I understand.
And I did that. I know it's a Chinese name. Right. I know it's not a Chinese name, but it starts a conversation like, oh, what is that? Where are you from? Or, otherwise no one's going to know or even question.
Well, I like it. I'm glad you did. Thank you. Yeah. I don't know if anybody would watch Maria Church, Gringa, but María Ovalle, it has a much better ring to it.
I tell you, but when I call on the phone to make reservations, like your name, I'm like Church, Maria Church. I use it like as my alias,
Right,
but
right.
it's not. That's not like it makes it easier.
I understand. Thank you again. Congratulations to you. I appreciate your time. Put your baby to bed, and we'll speak with you soon. Thanks.
Okay.
Take care. Busy mama there. Thank you.